Hey everyone, welcome to another video and thank you so much for tuning in. Alright, let's talk about this Plaid. So again, I gotta ask, have you guys forgiven Tesla for not putting out the Plaid Plus? Well, let's talk about some of the pros and cons about this Plaid. Let's start with the cons so we can end on a positive note. First thing is that so far, I can't tell if the screen is actually adjustable. It looks to be that, according to some, that's going to be remedied in a software update. So current users or owners of the Plaid are not able to adjust their center screen, but supposedly in a software update that they'll incorporate that. I don't know if that's a motorized mechanism behind there or what have you, but we'll see if that comes to actually be true. The next thing is the rear screen, which looks phenomenal, but from what I've seen so far and understand, while you're using the rear screen, let's say the back passengers are watching Netflix, well, it doesn't seem like they can use that independently as far as the audio goes. Now, it does look like if you're using navigation in the front screen and watching Netflix on the back screen, that you can do those two things, but the audio will be for the back screen. So whatever they're watching on YouTube on the back screen or Netflix or whatever, it's going to play through the audio system, and the front passengers are just going to have to bear with that as for now. So I don't know if that's going to be remedied in a future update or not, but we'll see. Another point that was advertised on the event but not currently available to current owners is the high-powered video games. So far, nobody has Cyberpunk on their Tesla Plaid or Witcher or anything like that. So, and I guess that's to be in a future update as well. So all these things possibly are remedied by over-the-air updates that maybe when more vehicles are out there, that they'll do a push all at once. But again, time will tell. So we'll fingers crossed and we'll see if they take care of all those things. The last thing that really is kind of, I guess, the downside to this Plaid is that the performance of it says that it can do the 0 to 60 in 1.99 and the quarter mile in 9.3 seconds, which is probably pretty accurate. I don't know about the 0 to 60. It's always going to be with a 1 foot rollout. I get that. But then there's also a 200 mile per hour aspect of it, which now, if you read the fine print, it says that your current Tesla Plaid will not do 200 miles an hour unless you get the optional wheels, which aren't available yet. They'll be available in a few months. So you're going to have to purchase yet another set of wheels in order to get the maximum performance out of your Plaid. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that most everyone will not be able to have the opportunity to go 200 miles an hour. But the fact that it says it can and it advertises that it can, yet it really can't unless you get this optional wheel package. So that is, again, you're in a car for $130,000+, and I bet with all the options currently, without that additional wheel package, is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of close to into probably $150,000, which is a lot of money, right? With full self-driving, arachnid wheels, and carbon fiber interior, white interior, and eventually a 7-seat option. If you decide to get the additional wheels, you are probably in the 160s at that point. So, and now put in the comments below, what do you think that wheel tire package is going to cost? I'm guessing it's going to be some type of special compound rubber like all high performance cars use to reach the 200 mile per hour barrier, as well as it's going to have to be some forged lightweight wheels. So again, what do you think? My guess is it is going to be $7,000, give or take, for those 4 wheels and tires. You guys agree? Let's see it in the comments. So anyway, that is kind of a bummer. I wish that they would just say that, hey, if you bought the Plaid, we're going to send you these wheels when they come out. But I think it's going to be an expensive option. Well, only time will tell. We'll see. Now the positives. Let's talk about the positives, because there really are some great things that this car offers. First is that it is touting to have one of the quietest interior cabins, and that's with the the enhancements to the air conditioner and its biodefense and all of the other features and the quietness of just the AC alone, than having noise canceling speakers inside of the vehicle on the seats right by the headrest, and then it being double pane glass all around. So this is truly going to compete with other luxury vehicles. If Lucid Air ever comes out, or the Mercedes electric vehicle, that category of quiet cabin, is now available. So that's pretty good, especially for the price point where it's at. That's something that you would definitely want and expect as a buyer of that vehicle. So the next thing is the yoke steering wheel. I do like the yoke steering wheel, and I think it's a plus because it makes the vehicle stand out and is pushing the boundaries of design. And it's nothing too crazy, but at least they've gone forward with it, and it looks really cool to me. So I'm glad they stuck with it, and now it's available to all the Model S Plaid owners. The other feature that is being touted as fantastic is the sound system. With all that insulation in there and the amount of speakers, it's supposed to be phenomenal. I can't wait to hear it and test drive a Model S, a refreshed Model S. So again, cars of this cars of this price point should have that type of sound system in it. The other big improvement that looks to be just fantastic is the user interface. Now, the speed that I see people, getting information off of it and moving things around, and the configurability of it, and the personalization that you can do with it on the main screen is fantastic. I hope that trickles down to Model 3 and Model Y owners, but I don't think so. I think for now, it's going to stay as the premium grade user interface. I hope not long, though. And of course, the last thing is the actual performance of it. I'm glad that it is faster than the last generation Model S, and I hope it continues to only become better in performance. And on that note, I think there is one of the things that was really kind of understated. The two things to me that were understated during the event, and I think even now as owners get their hands on it and start using their vehicle, is the tri-motor having carbon sleeves. I think that is just an engineering feat that people are just not really aware of what that does as far as performance. It basically, the carbon wrapped motor will allow that electric motor to rev at such high RPM in a safe manner and convert all that energy into power to the rest of the drivetrain. It is absolutely an engineering, like, tour de force kind of thing, So, and now it confirms that the Cybertruck and Roadster will have some viable powertrains. So again, the fact that they got that tri-motor system working, in a pretty good way, and I think they're just going to tweak it from here on out, is absolutely fantastic. It just kind of sets the tone really for the rest of the vehicles that are going to use that platform. The other thing that I think was really understated was the power curve, that basically you are now able, as a Plaid owner, to use maximum power the entire time that you're trying to accelerate. Now, I think this really cures what, I guess, the problem, if you can call it that, with the previous Model S's or even the performance version of all the vehicles. If you've seen any races with Teslas in the past where, right, you'll always notice that if it's a high horsepower car that they're racing, it'll eventually start to pass them right at the 100 to 120 mark, depending on what vehicle it was. It would really start to gain at that point and start passing, and that was all that horsepower that the other vehicles had. So now, with this type of power curve, I really think within the next several weeks to maybe a couple months, when we see Plaids racing other vehicles, that's no longer going to be the case. That the roll race, starting at whether it be 60, 80, or 100, I think the Plaid is going to be able to dominate now, more so than it did before. That a lot of these high horsepower cars that were beating it from, normally, like I said, about 120 miles per hour, now will not be able to do that. That this power curve and the tri-motor system, however they tune that software with these motors, will allow the Plaid to be so much more competitive in the high mile per hour game. So that's fantastic. And well, we have still yet that to be proven, but that is my guess. And I think that's what that curve, that power curve, really is saying. That you've got all 1,000, almost 100 horsepower available until terminal velocity. So that makes that car brutal. So we'll see, future races. I can't wait to see how that turns out. And talking about races, it looks like Ford may have thrown down the gauntlet and said, hey, we'll use our one-off, granted it is a one-off 1,400 horsepower Mach-E, to race the new Plaid. I'd like to see that, let's all tell Tesla and Ford, let's make that happen, and yes, it's probably not a fair race. You have a prototype one-off 1,400 horsepower vehicle versus a production car, but it'd still be a fun race. And from what I understand by the specs of it, the Plaid already still has the advantage. So yeah, but it'd be fun to watch. Also, if you haven't really seen the handling aspect of the Plaid S, Unplugged Performance is doing a phenomenal job right now of putting that thing around Laguna Seca. Now, it's a prototype in the sense that it is a car that they pretty much gutted and added their own dampers as well as anti-roll bar and a rear wing to it. But otherwise, the vehicle's powertrain, the suspension, is still the stock air suspension as well as the standard regular tri-motor powertrain. So that's a good news as far as will it be able to handle racetrack duty. And even though that the Plaid S has track mode on it, it's a good sign that with a few tweaks, it can still be a very, very good handling car. This is kind of an interesting, I guess, philosophy that I see Tesla doing. And again, tell me if I'm just out of my mind. So the Plaid, or all Model S's and X, are still going to continue to have a instrument cluster display. Now, the older Model S's and the X's had it, but really as the new 3s and the Ys came out, Tesla was really touting that you don't need all of that center, instrument cluster display. That, hey, this whole center right over here displayed just to your right is good enough. That thing is all the information you need, and it's easy to get used to, and you shouldn't have to worry that's the way Tesla is going. Now we have a refreshed S and X, and guess what? They put that beautiful center instrument cluster right up there for you to see, and they've even cut the steering wheel and made it a yoke so that it's better visibility and that it's safer and you can see it better and all the information is there. It kind of seems to me like, Tesla, come on, tell me, Is that better to have it right in the center? And if so, can we get that in the Y and the 3? Or are you saying that only the high dollar vehicles can get it? Because I really thought they were kind of leaning towards center display and that being the route to go, and not really needing much up front because it was always going to be an autonomous vehicle someday. But again, I just thought it was weird that they are focusing so much on the visibility of, having the yoke in the center instrument cluster now. Whereas the last couple years, they've really been saying that you only need really that over to the right stuff. So anyway, there you go, everyone. So thank you again for watching, and remember, go to your car meets, have fun with your mods, and enjoy what you have. We'll see you guys on the next video.